further than the 300, as I said. But if you're right on top of the tag, which you can be because you're very tanky, then they need to be in closer to the squad. So the tighter the squad is, the closer you can be to the tag, essentially. Ultimately, you want to be as close to the tag as possible, but keeping in mind your squad mates. Okay. Having said that, as you use skills and as you move and whatnot, unless you're in the tags sub squad, because if you're the tags Firebrand, then nothing else matters. All you're doing is looking to keep the tag alive, looking to give him stability, ages, whatnot. Nothing else matters. Nobody else in the sub squad exists at that point. If you're in the tag sub squad, that's your sole reason for existing while you're there. When you're not, however, you need to be in non-grid view. The way you get there is you click on your squad, and just above the leave button, there is a little check mark and it says view as grid. Whenever you join a squad, by default, it will be checked. Uncheck it. That will put you in party view. That way you see all of the people in your sub party on the top left side of the screen, and it will show you all the boons they have and all the conditions. Now, this is important because you are taking your cues for using skills from your DPS players. You're gonna see the icon of what they're playing. So you're not looking at the Scrapper, for example. You're looking at the Scourge. You're looking at the DH. You're looking at the Berserker, or whoever there is your DPS players. That's who you're looking for cues when to use skills. Obviously, if you need to stay alive, you use a skill. If you're in danger and you gotta get back to the squad, whatnot. But 90% of the time, you should be taking your cues from your DPS players when to use stability, when to use ages, when to use other skills. Very important. Again, unless you are in the tag sub squad, then you're only looking at the tag, and then you don't necessarily need to be in non-grid view. You can just target the tag, pick him off, put personal target, put squad target, whatever, and have him at the top of your screen. Now you're looking at them constantly, and you see what they have and what they don't have. And as soon as you see condis on them, you cleanse. As soon as you see they need stab, you give them stab. Okay. Now, I'll go over skills really quickly. I'll go over the ones that are basically the same and are not going to change no matter what. So there is a couple of variants in the builds we'll discuss afterwards. The weapons you're going to use is either staff plus mace and shield, or staff plus axe and shield. There's not going to be any other weapons combinations. Those are all. You're always going to have a shield and you're always going to have a staff. So I'm going to start with those, and then I'll go over the variants between axe and mace in a second. First, the weapons. Now, staff. You have 4 skills that matter here. Your auto staff skill is just, whenever you need to bring down a cannon somewhere. Or just your auto skill to get a tag when we're in a situation where we're mopping up if you're in staff. Now, the other skills are all important, and I'll start in order. Your staff 2, that's your Holy Strike. It does some damage, it does some healing, it pulses. Most importantly, however, it's a blast finisher. So this is your blast finisher, and you're going to be using it. For example, when scrappers are using their smoke fields, which is stealth, you're using that to blast to get more stealth out for your sub squad. In addition to that, you're using it when we're doing a range spike. So for example, range spike on the marker, you're using your staff 2, and you're using your staff 3 if you can as well, and staff 5 to apply pressure. The reason for it is not that you're going to do damage. You're not going to do damage. It's not even going to tickle them, but you're going to consume their ages. You're hitting them with a skill that does very little damage, but it's consuming a very high value boon they have, ages. And that creates an opening for your DPS players to deliver their damage. Because the ages is no longer going to be there to block. Now, the reason why you use all 3 if you can, or at least 2, is because I'll go over this later. If they're running an Aegis Firebrand, generally that's going to output 2 sets of Aegis back to back, and both need to be stripped. Okay? Now, staff 3 is your symbols. Usually it's called symbols. Tags will call for symbols. That's what they're talking about, staff 3. It applies swiftness, and it's also a light field. Now, it's usually used in pre-boning before a battle, especially for range exchanges before we go in. Tags will call swiftness and empowers, usually. That is symbols and empowers. That is for swiftness. You place it down, it pulses again, and applies swiftness, usually about 30 seconds. Normally, you're not going to have too much trouble with swiftness, but that's how you get extra swiftness. It's on a quick cooldown, so you get it back. Second thing, it's a light field. So it's a good combination with staff 2, because it takes a little bit longer there's a little delay. So you place staff 3, you place staff 2 on top of it, and you get a combination. That combo cleanses and heals at the same time. So it's a useful combination of skills to use, especially if we're under a wall, at a gate, where we are taking damage from ACs. You know, you can sit on top of your squad and just do a combo 3, 2 on the spot. It's going to do quite a bit of healing, and it's going to cleanse. So it's a good combination. You're not going to be using it very much in battles unless we're bunkering down somewhere and we're riding on top of each other, and for whatever reason you're in staff and not in Mace Shield or Axe Shield. The fourth skill is Empowers. That is, again, a skill that does some healing. And it applies Might to the sub-squad. Now, it's, again, a skill you're going to be used before you enter into battle. It's for pre-booning. Do not use that skill in the middle of a battle, because it stops you where, like, you'll be moving and you press 4 and it stops you and you start casting. Now, if you do that by mistake, there is a way to get out of it. Now, if you're pressing the W key and you hit it, it will stop you and it will not move again. You need to release the key, start pressing it again, and that will interrupt the skill and you'll start moving. The skill will go on cooldown, but you will start moving. So it's possible to do a quick one and then keep moving. So if you need a little bit of extra healing, you have no other healing available in the middle of a battle, you're in staff, you can just pop it, get a pulse, and keep on moving after that. But you have to release whatever key you were pressing, direction of movement, and repress it again. Otherwise, you'll be stuck there and you'll be wondering why you can't. Okay. Staff 5 is your line. This is the line of warding. It's you apply it and it interrupts people. If they don't have stability, they'll get knocked back. Now, this line of warding can be jumped over, so keep in mind that when you see it used against you. So you can jump over it and it's fine. Main reason for its use is to interrupt the enemy's push. If they're pushing in, we place our lines in front of them, and as a minimum, it will consume stacks of stability off of them. Okay. It is also a light field, so it can be comboed with staff 2 as well for the same effect as staff 3, staff 2. It can be the same type of combo that's applied. So on range spikes, you want to use your lines as well. You have them for that reason. Now, very important note: if you're in Tome 3 and we're engaging in melee, you've moved into Tome 3. Don't get out of Tome 3 just to put a line down, because Tome 3 goes down on a long cooldown. If you have only one page left in Tome 3, then you can use a skill, do the line, and generally wait out for it to come back. But if you have 3-4 pages left, don't get out just to put a line. There will be DHs in the sub squad. They can put lines down. When the tag is calling for lines, it's not only for you, but it is for you as well. Usually, you will be placing lines more before the battle happens or when the enemy is trying to push while you're still in staff. Okay. Any questions? Yep, go ahead. You're gonna run out of stuff. Yeah, you're gonna run out of stuff because there is no way to actually upkeep it 100% of the time. It's virtually almost impossible. It's possible for about 50 seconds. And I'll go over that in a second. Let me just finish with the weapon skills. No, people complaining about no stab usually means they're not on the tag, or the other squad is stripping us too well. It's possible. Like, there is no formula for 100% uptime. I'll go over the weapons first, and then I'll explain certain situations and how to breach the gaps between stab. Now, well, the main problem usually with Firebrands when you run out of stab is twofold. Usually using up skills too fast and running out of them. When efficiency of skill use with the Firebrand means being patient with your skills. If you use them up too quickly, too fast, you're gonna give them 7, 8, 9, 10 stacks of stability. They don't need that many. So it's about using the correct skills in the correct moment and being patient with your skills. But we'll go over skill usage and rotations a little bit later. Let me just go over the weapons real quick. Okay, so we switched to Mace Shield, Axe Shield combos. This is your second weapon pairing, and there is a little variations here. The shield's always going to be there. The axe or the mace is depending on the situation. Now, if you're running a heal brand, you're always going to be mace shield. You're not going to be running an axe because you need the extra mace there. Mace 3 gives you protection and gives you Aegis. And as a heal brand, you're focusing on cleansing and healing. So you're more heavily sustain oriented, because generally if you're a heal brand means there isn't a scrapper in your sub squad, so you need to do a lot more than just give protection and Aegis, give stability and Aegis. So I'll go over the shield first. Shield 4 is basically the skill that you will be using every time you go into Mace Shield. This is on a push. If you have a Mace, you'll go Mace 3 and then Shield 4. If you don't have a Mace, you'll be going with Shield 4 first. Now, what that does is applies protection and it applies Aegis. It's generally not too long of a cooldown. It's 20 seconds, but it comes back. Before you go into Tome 3, you'll be going through Mace Shield or Axe Shield, and you will be using that. Whenever you're in Mace Shield, you're usually using Shield 4 on cooldown to upkeep that protection uptime for everybody. You're not timing this one for Aegis. There's other skills that you're using and timing for Aegis. Shield 5 is a knockback. And also a light field. But you're generally going to be using it for two reasons. First, if the enemy squad is using a lot of projectiles, that blocks projectiles. It's a channel skill, so it stays for a while. You can see how long it stays. Make sure you don't use a second skill while you pop it if you're using it for blocking projectiles, because it will interrupt it and you won't have it anymore. So don't go, for example, Shield 5, then Shield 4. For that reason, you're going to cancel the Shield 5. So you go Shield 4, and then you go Shield 5. Now, it also knocks back. So there's a couple instances when you don't want to use it. For example, if we're pushing on a bridge, and they're lacking stability, you can pop Shield 5, knock him off the bridge, help out your squad by eliminating some of the enemies. However, if we did a sort of a pull and a bomb and we generate a whole bunch of downs over here on the marker, don't pop Shield 5 here, because you're going to send all the downs flying in all kinds of directions, and you're going to make it a lot harder for your DPS to actually cleave them out. So be mindful of that. You don't want to knock out of our damage range or our damage tracks the downs. Yes, it does. It will knock back anything. Like it's a knockback. It just will knock back anything that's, you know, right there in front of you. Mace, you're going to be using mostly Mace 3, again, for the protection and Aegis. And Mace 1 is a little bit of damage and also does healing. So if you're in Mace Shield, you can move forward. Kill me DH. Okay, fine. All right.
I knew it! Stoich is a phony. I knew it.
Hold on. No, don't kill him. How is...
I know.
I was right on top of you. It's like AoE knockback skills like that don't. So like there's stuff like I think Warrior or maybe Guardian also has like a punt.
It knocks back. It's about where you are in relation to the down. I think I was too close to him to actually generate the knockback. It's happened before. So they might have changed it. I don't know, but generally watch out for that part. Even in that situation, even like, okay, leave aside the downs. All right, we'll leave aside the downs. If we're doing a push, for example, and we're gonna deliver a bomb right here, if you pop your shield and you're knocking them all over the place, you're actually gonna knock him out of our bomb. So be mindful when using Shield 5 in that kind of a situation. That's what I'm saying. Be mindful when you're using it, how you're gonna it's gonna impact. Again, for the Mace, Mace 1 will do a little bit of damage, and every third time you use it, it's going to do a little bit of healing. So it's a good one when you're cleaving. Usually we'll be on top of them. Let's say we're in melee and you're in Mace shield. You're just going 1-1-1, 1-1-1. You're doing a little bit of healing and you keep on cleaving. Now, Axe is used for a little bit more utility and CC to help out the squad. So that's a little bit more offensive, and I'll go over the differences in the build in a second. There's two skills that are key here. Axe 1, again, is just for cleaving. Nothing special there. The two skills that are key are Axe 3, which is a pull. Now, it only pulls from 600 range, so it's not that much. And Axe 2, which is a stun. Now, to get the stun, you need to trade it, however. It's also a light field, so, you know, it can be blasted for cleanses. However, you're not going to be able to combo it with your own staff. Others can blast it, potentially. So, generally, what you want is an Axe 3, pull him in, Axe 2, stun. Now, this can be useful on a push-in. If our, you know, we're well comped, our sustain as well. When we're pushing in, or we're getting on top of them with the well bomb, you pop your pull. You know, strips are going on. You pop your pull. Okay, and then you stun him, and then your DPS players are finishing him off. So that's about the weapons. Now I'll go over the utilities as well. Really quickly, and then we'll go over the builds and the different variations, and after that we'll go over certain situations. Okay, so the main skills and your utilities that you're gonna have, and this is pretty much in all circumstances, is your Mantra of Solace. That's your heal skill. It's gonna be your Mantra of Solace. It's got 3 charges. Each of them gives Aegis, and when traded, it's going to give quickness as well. You're not using it for the healing. This is not your heal skill. It's not for you. Never, don't use it for yourself. This is to give Aegis. You're using this skill whenever you need to give Aegis, and some circumstances to give quickness. But most of the time, you'll be using it to give Aegis. The second mantra is the Mantra of Liberation. That's your elite skill. It's going to be an elite mantra. That skill is very important as well. It gives stability. 1 stack of stability. Nothing special in terms of that. It's just 1 stack, but it's still stability. Second, it gives resolution, which reduces incoming condi damage, but you're not using it for that. That's just bonus. What you're using it for is either stability, or more importantly, a stun break. It's an AoE stun break. It will stun break 5 people if they're CC'd. So generally, you will be using it. It's like the other mantras. It's a cone in front of you. Generally, you'll be using it and affecting not only your sub-squad sometimes. Because, for example, we're pushing, let's say this is the enemy. We're doing a crossover, dodging through. You're turning around. And you're stun breaking people out that got caught. Now, if things are going normal, not everybody, like maybe one of your sub squad got caught, maybe another one from another sub squad. So if the rest of your sub squad are moving and are behind you, they're out of range, then you might be stun breaking other people as well. So that skill is important. Generally, you will be using it sparingly. You try to have 1 charge left at all times for an emergency stun break. But if you have to use it, use it. Don't die without having used it. If you get CC'd yourself, use it to stun break yourself. It's more important to be alive than to have, you know, been holding on to skills and then died and never gotten to use them.
So when you call small stab versus big stab, what skills come to mind for each one? So like stand your ground is probably big stab, right? Because it's 5
Stand
stack.
your ground is big stab. That's the next skill I'm going to go over.
Okay.
Small stab is Mantra of Liberation. That is small stab because it's 1 stack.
Okay.
That's what small stab means. Just a stack of stability. Now, if it's before engagement, you know, we're on full cooldowns. We have all of our charges, everything. And I call for small stab. You can pop 1 Mantra of Liberation. You're going to apply stability there for about 6 seconds. Right? Maybe even 7. I don't remember how. No, 6 I think with full boon duration. So that's enough time for us to do our shade spike. So let's say the enemy's right there. He's looking at us. We're gonna move in for a range spike. So I'm saying, you know, small stab, Aegis. We're moving in, range spike, show back. And by that time, your stab is gone, but it's been there to do that just in case they got to counter it. That's why it's used. Now, you get it back every 25 seconds. So generally on a range spike, moving in, coming out will be about 67 seconds. And then we'll do a little bit of a kite before we re-engage. Generally, we'll have it back more than halfway up. And as we do a second engagement approach or whatever, usually by the time we are in melee, you will have that charge almost back. So don't be stingy on it. Use it. It's good to have Aegis and stab on a range spike for that reason that I told you earlier. They're going to be using their staff 2 and 3 and 5, trying to strip the Aegis. So Aegis alone is not going to be enough for a range spike. Stab alone is not going to be enough for range spike either, because Chronos are going to be pulling, and they can C-split their pull, so they can do 2 pulls. A single Chrono can do a double pull on a spot, and 1 stack of stability will not be enough. That's why you need Aegis as well, so that you don't use extra stability. Okay.
Sorry, and you said that was part of using advanced plus your elite mantra?
Yes, I'm gonna go over advanced in a second. Elite mantra is your small stab. Aegis is gonna be if we have advanced, you should have Aegis on. And I'll explain, like, you as a Firebrand always have Aegis on pre-engagement. It's important to be in non-grid view so you see when the people in your sub squad don't have it, so that you can apply it on them, which is a different situation. So big stab, stand your ground. That is your big stab skill. That one is mandatory. You will have it on your utility no matter what. That is for engagements. Like, you're not using that skill in any other situation than for the big melee engagements. You're saving it. You're using other sources of stability or Aegis to sort of, you know, on range exchanges, whatnot. You shouldn't need to use stand your ground. Don't use it, because you won't have it on the push. On the push in, there's gonna be lines in front of us. There's gonna be other CCs. Their heralds might have brutality trade on, so every time they hit, they're stripping stacks of stability. 1 stack of stability is not enough for a push. So when we're going to be, I'm saying, for example, okay, we're gonna push in now. That's your cue to be ready for stand your ground. You're not gonna pop it here, because it's gonna be gone by the time we get there. You get 12 seconds of it, I think. 12 seconds at full boon duration. You're waiting until we approach a little bit. You should have Aegis, so we're okay until we are sort of within 600 range. Once we're within 600 range, or even a little bit earlier, if they're very heavy on range, then you're popping your stand your ground. Now you have 5 stacks of stability. Nobody should get interrupted there unless they're getting stripped really heavy. So that's why you're saving it for that moment. Additionally, the second utility that you will have most of the time is Hologrounds. Hologrounds is your version of the roads that the heralds have, except that it doesn't have an offensive aspect to it. Like, it's not gonna do any pressure to the enemy. However, it's going to pulse stability. It's gonna pulse single stacks of stability, but it has 8 pulses. And it pulses every second. So it's very good, especially when pushing into a choke, through a choke, in a condensed area, or we're bunkering down. For example, we're gonna there is a choke that we want to stay and stop him from pushing through, and we're bunkering down. You pop it at our feet, and that way everybody has stability, and now we can move around. Like, we're gonna be holding this choke. Let's say the choke is from here to here. We're gonna hold it, but we're not gonna just sit here. We can move around a little bit to avoid the main damage. But to be able to do that, we'll need stability. And instead of using up, 2, 3, 4, 5 skills to reapply stability because it's getting stripped or whatnot, and we're gonna be getting hit if we're holding our ground, you can pop Hologrounds at your feet. Same thing. If we're pushing through, like, if these 2 rocks are the choke that we're pushing through, sometimes you'll hear me say it. And sometimes other tags will say it. They will say Hologrounds in the choke, and then we're gonna push. This is sort of like the roads. So the good thing about the Hologrounds is that you can aim where you put it. The roads are always initiated from you, and they're going in the direction you're looking at as heralds. Whereas the Firebrand, you can be looking in any direction you want, and you can place it anywhere within range of the skill, which is 900 range. So again, for example, that's the choke. We put the Hologrounds, and we'll push through it. Now we have stab, and it's pulsing. Even if we get stripped, it's pulsing. If there is a Hologrounds here in the choke, you don't need your stand your ground to be popped before you move through the Hologrounds. So we're moving through the choke, right? We drop our Hologrounds, and as we are exiting, then you're popping your stand your ground, so that it extends out of it for everybody after that, because we're gonna be pushing on top of them after going through the choke, where the CC, where the damage is going to be. All right. The last slot on your utilities is sort of the one that will get switched out depending on need. Now, what we usually run is advance, and that gives Aegis' swiftness. It's also a shout, so it's gonna do it's gonna convert condies into boons, but that's not the reason why we have the skill, and you're not using it for that. What you're using it for is to apply Aegis and swiftness before we fight. So, for example, we're gonna pre-buff, and I will say, for example, advance symbols, right? Now we have 30 seconds of Aegis and a full minute of stability, of swiftness. Now we're gonna move and get closer. For example, when we're closer, I'll call for empowers, because empowers will last a lot less. Now, the reason for the advance is it puts the 30-second Aegis, so everybody is prepped. Like, there is no time limit on when we can engage, and we all have Aegis for that first engage. As a Firebrand, through your build, you will usually have a second set of Aegis that you're going to apply the moment you actually block with your own Aegis, which means everybody in your sub-squad will have 2 blocks. With 1 stack of stability, it means that at least you're going to block 2 hits and 1 CC, which generally would mean that a range spike will be useless. Like, even if we get hit, nobody should get interrupted, down, or whatnot. Now, this is when things are perfect. In some situations, you might need to switch that skill out. For example, the Mantra of Lore. It is your cleanse mantra. Now it applies regen, which is some healing. It's passive healing, but the reason you're putting this on is to remove condies. It doesn't turn them into boons, but it removes 2 condies for every charge. And you have 3 charges, and you regain 1 every 12 seconds. So you can do quite a bit of healing, cleansing with it. So, for example, if you don't have a Scrapper in your sub-squad, you don't have a Support Tempest, you're going to a Firebrand, you will be going to Mantra of Lore instead of Advance for the cleansing, because you're limited in what you have in terms of cleansing. Additionally, sometimes you will go to the Wall of Reflection. This is a line that you place up front. It looks like this. It blocks it reflects projectiles. Stands there for quite a bit, 8 seconds. It's also a light field, so it can be comboed. For example, if you're in staff, you can put a Wall of Reflection, and then if we keep on pushing forward, you can actually combo it with your staff too to get some additional cleanses out of it. Main reason for using it is if the enemy is using a lot of projectiles. For example, when they're pushing in, you can drop it in front of us, or you can drop it in the middle of their squad and watch them kill themselves. Now, you're actually going to do quite a bit of damage with this if used correctly, because you're reflecting their damage back on top of them. So that counts as your damage. That's how sometimes Firebrands will actually get on the DPS meter if the DPS is not performing quite as well and the enemy's using a lot of projectiles. Last but not least, on occasion you might use Sanctuary. Now this one is rare, but it does some healing and it blocks missiles. So you can put it on top of you, mostly on walls, gates, not so much in fights. But again, you can do it the same way as Wall of Reflection. You can place it whenever you want. It's a little bit of a channel time. It's 1 second. So that is a possible skill if needed. Now you can use this for a break bar. Like this breaks bars like crazy. For example, and this is a good one to keep in mind. If there is a banner around and that banner is annoying, you can place this on top of the banner and you're gonna break his break bar like almost all the way down. So it's for that, or on a Lord, but you're not going to be using it often. Yes, go ahead, Hector. Focus. No focus. You're not, FBs will not be using focus ever. You should not have focus on. Focus is a condi weapon. It's not a support weapon. Okay. Now we're gonna go through the tomes really quickly. Is it power? Okay. Torches. Okay. Torches, condi, focus is power, but focus applies a lot of burning as well. So I don't know. Okay. Anyway, let's go to the tomes now. Tome 3 is the main tome you're going to be using. This is the one that is very important. There's 3 important skills here. One you're going to be always using because that's the one you're going in generally. The other 2 are a little situational, but I'll explain the situations. So when you go into Tome 3, generally we will be on top of them. By that time, like, you're not going to be going into Tome 3 before we're on top of them, because you have your stand your ground and you've used shield 4, or if you're in Mace shield, you've used Mace Mace 3 and Shield 4. So that should get you enough time for us to be on top of him. We've probably done the first melee engagement. Then you're going into Tome 3. Now, at that point, you're using skill 5. This is the key one. Okay? Now, this one applies Aegis, stability, and protection. It's a full spectrum sustain skill. On top of that, it applies 200 toughness to everybody in your sub squad. Now, 200 toughness for you is nothing, and it doesn't matter. But for your DPS players, that is the equivalent of 20% damage reduction. So it is very important to use that skill. After the initial sustain push that we have, because initially we're pushing on our full sustain skills, this is very important. Coming in on the tails of it, when that initial sustain is waning down, getting that extra 200 toughness is very important. You're giving them protection again. You're giving them Aegis again, so they're going to block again. And you're giving them stability. Now, second part is on a situation where we're pushing through and you're in Tome 3. Let's say we're pushing through here. Pop skill 4. You see this marker? It's very visible, easily visible, big. You drop it at your feet and it stays where you dropped it. You can keep on moving, but it will stay where you dropped it. It pulses and it applies resistance. It's also a light field, but that's not why you're using it. You're using it because it applies resistance. Resistance is important because it will negate the effects of movement impeding CCs. Slow, chill, emote. The most important of the three that I'm talking about is emote. Emote will stop them in their tracks and they're going to sit there and they're going to get bombed to smithereens. If there is resistance on the ground, even if they have emote on them, it's not going to affect them and they can keep on moving until it gets cleansed. So very important skill to be aware of and to use. So for example, if you see your sub squad is getting emoped, you don't have a stack from your Mantra of Liberation, but you're in Tome 3, that is how you can help them out. Instead of them being emoped, they're going to get resistance, they're going to keep on moving, and get away from the hotspot, and in the meantime, it's buying time for your scrapper to cleanse them. Okay? Now, it's not necessarily to use it absolutely always, but I would say when we're on top of each other with big groups in melee, it is good to pop it. It's one extra page, but it's good to pop it. Second thing, the other skill is skill 3. That is your reflect. Now, this one is only when needed, when they're using a lot of projectiles. Again, you can place it wherever you want. It's a bigger circle than your sanctuary, but it does reflects. Like this is a strong one. So you can actually pop it on top of the enemy like this, as he's sitting there. I pop it on top of him, and now if he's using projectiles, they're gonna just reflect straight back. So you can pop it literally on top of the enemy Zerg and watch him kill the sense. You can pop it, you can put it in front of you, like you can put it in front of the squad, you can put it on top of the squad. Either way. It blocks projectiles, so that's when it's used. You're not going to be using it always. You're using it for those situations. Skill 1, you're using sometimes when you need quick stack of stability. You're in a bind. There is no other stab. You're using your skill 1 on your Tome 3, but because it works like the mantra, You have to be facing the person you want to give it to. So don't just pop it. You know, somebody needs it over there. You're facing this way. Nothing's gonna happen. You need to be facing them and then popping it. Most of the time, it's not an official use of your pages, so try not to use it if not absolutely necessary. Tome 2 is your heal cleanse tome. Here again, skill 5 and skill 4 are your main skills. Skill 5 will convert 2 condies into boons, but you're gonna be always using it when you're going into Tome 2 because it also gives 20% extra heal efficiency. So even if you don't need to cleanse at that point, you're gonna be using it to gain the extra healing. If you're going into Tome 2, you're not gonna be sitting on Tome 2. You're usually going in there for a quick cleanse, quick heal, and that's it. And you're getting out. Now, you're not gonna do a lot of burst healing, but you can do some healing to help out in a bind. When your Firebrand is you know, low on cooldowns and is finding it hard, you can go into Tome 2, do 5, do 4. You're dropping a water well at our feet. That can be blasted. And it's also pulsing some healing. Skill 3 is not that important. It will give vigor, which is not bad. And it will give regen and swiftness. So it will give some boons. If you have pages left over, you're going in, you're going 5-4 on your skills. You're going to be going out. You can pop 3 as well. Give some extra boons. That's it. Then 2 and 1. 2 is some extra cleansing, which you can do rapid fire cleansing with, and 1 is some extra healing, which you can do rapid fire healing with it. Again, you need to be facing the target. It's good to sort of go 2-2-2 or 1-1-1 to use up the pages as you're going out. If you can do that, if you need to get out of the tome quicker than that, don't waste time on that. Tome 1 generally is only for getting tags once we've broken the enemy down. You're not going to be going into Tome 1 often, if ever, especially if you're still learning or getting used to Firebrand. Don't go into Tome 1 at all. As you get more comfortable, you will find when you can go into Tome 1. Generally, in Tome 1, 5 will apply Ashes of the Just on everybody in your sub-squad, which basically helps them apply burning with their hits. 4 is a pulsing field. Fire, it will do damage. It's also a fire field, so if it gets blasted, it will apply might. And the only really kind of useful skill in Tome 1 is 3, which is a pull. So you pop it and it will pull. Now it doesn't pull that much, it only pulls 240, but it's a pull. So that's basically it. If you're going into Tome 1, usually you're going in there for a pull, and you can drop, you can go like you're going into Tome 1, you're going 5-4, 3, a pull in front, and then 1-1-1, and you're out of there. So when we've broken them, usually you can go into Tome 1 and just go 5-4, so you get some tags. That's basically it. All right. Any questions on the skills? Utilities, weapons, any of that? Okay. I'm going to go over the builds really quickly. And then we are going to go over a couple of situations and skill usage in them. I've gone over some of it, but we'll go over a couple of specific ones. So there's 2 main builds that you're going to be using, and there's a couple of variations, small variations that I'll go over. Now, the first one is the one we generally use. That is when you have a Scrapper or a Support Tempest basically somebody to heal and somebody to cleanse in your sub squad, then you're using the Aegis brand. You're using the Honor trait line, and you're using the Valor trait line in addition to the Firebrand trait. In the Honor trait line, that one is going to be the same regardless if you're using the Aegis brand or the Heal brand. So the Honor trait line, you've got on the selectable ones, you're going to have the Invigorated Bulwark, which gives you extra healing. It can be up to 10%. The other two are not useful. So this is the one you're going to be using always. The key one here is Selfless Daring. This one you get by default. This means every time you dodge, at the end of your dodge, you're healing everybody around you. So the heal brand will heal somewhere around 900 per dodge to everybody in your sub squad. That's quite a bit. And the Aegis brand is still going to be healing for about 600-700 anyway. So don't forget that your dodges heal your allies. It's an important one. Gain vigor when you critically strike. You're not going to be critically striking, so that one doesn't really matter. The second skill that is selectable, you're going with Pure of Heart. Now this one is very important too, because every time you give somebody Aegis, when that Aegis blocks, even if you're not the one blocking, if it's somebody in your sub squad, they get healed. This gets procced for them. So again, this is going to be somewhere around 900 for the heal brands, and somewhere around 700 for the Aegis brands. That's a lot, especially for the Aegis brands, which you can output up to 8 to 10 different sets of Aegis for everybody in your sub squad within a 30 to 40 second interval. That means you can output up to 7k healing for that. Just passively, basically. They're getting it by default. That's quite a bit. The other options, again, are nothing special. The extra concentration on your staff is not worth the slot. You're giving up too much value from the healing. And the last one, there is some variation here. So the last one, you're going with Pure Voice most of the time, because it adds the ability for your shouts, which would be Advance and Stand Your Ground, to convert condies into boons, which is a good thing. It's a little bit of an additional conversion. The second thing it does also is reduces the recharge time on shouts, and this is the main reason why you're getting it. So your Stand Your Ground skill is a shout. So when you reduce it by 20%, and instead of waiting 30 seconds to get it back, you're waiting 24. Those extra 6 seconds is quite a bit, because it's a big stab skill, especially when we're fighting on top of each other. It's an important skill. The other option here is, and this is if you need extra tankiness. Generally, this is mostly going to be an option for if you're an FB as a tag. But in general, if you need more tankiness, also on occasion, the heal brand to maximize healing. So Force of Will, this is the other option. It will give you extra healing, outgoing healing, but it will also give you extra 300 vitality, which translates to about 3000 HP more. If you can... I cannot switch because I'm in combat. Let me get out of combat here, please. Hold on. I can't get out of combat. Okay, I'm out of combat now. So if you have me selected, you will see that my HP just went from 19.7 to 23k. It's big. It's a lot. Just from that trait. But again, you generally should not need that extra 3k. So you're looking for that extra reduction in time on your big stab skill rather than the extra healing. For the heal brand, however, if you need more healing, definitely can go Force of Will. Okay. For the Aegis brand, the second trait line is Valor. Now, you're picking this for two specific skills mostly, but you also get Valorous Defense. You get this by default. Basically, every time you go under 50% HP, you apply Aegis. So this is good. Like, it's an extra set of Aegis. It's good. The first selectable stat, there isn't really anything useful here, so you're going with Strength of the Fallen as the least useless one of all of them. Like, all of the other ones are useless. You're not going to be using a focus, so you don't need that. Lesser smite conditions, you're not using any meditation, so you don't need that. So by default, you're taking Strength of the Fallen. What that means is if you get downed, your HP is going to degenerate slower, and you're going to be removing condies every 10 seconds off of you. Usually, if you're going down, that means that things have gone south for the whole squad. God damn it, I got disconnected. Okay. I'm on my way back, but I can keep talking.
Stoich. On
Yep.
the build document that you guys have linked, sorry for my voice to say, Valor, you use the Smiter's Boom. What is that? That's incorrect, I guess, right?
Yeah, that's probably just a mistake. Like, it doesn't matter which one you're using there, really. Like, it wasn't. It's not much of a thing. Like, again, that's what I was saying. If you're already down, it usually means as a Firebrand, people are staying on tag and all of that. If you're already down, that means that at that point, things have gone bad for the squad. So that's not going to make a big difference.
Doesn't the second one remove conditions when you use a healing ability? Why wouldn't you want that?
Which second one?
The Smiter's Boom.
No, that's only for meditations. Like, you're not using any meditations. That's the thing. Like, it does that, but on your meditation skills on your utilities. But you're not going to be using any meditation skills. That's why. You're not getting anything out of it. The main one you're picking that trait line for are the second and third selectables. Okay? So, communal defenses. This is one. Strength of numbers, they changed it now, but it's not quite worth it. It's going to apply protection every 10 seconds. So if you're having trouble upkeeping protection, you don't have any help in your sub squad, you can go with that and sacrifice a little bit of Aegis for it. But the better one is communal defenses. What that means is every time you block, you will reapply Aegis to everybody in your sub squad. Now, it has a 15-second internal cooldown, but still, every 15 seconds, you have an extra Aegis that you don't have to do anything about. You just apply it automatically when you get hit.
You know that also needs to be updated in the sheet, by the way. You still had strength in numbers, and you're right, communal defense is much, much better.
On the Aegis brands, it should be communal defenses.
Yeah,
okay. Okay. Yeah, we'll fix that. Thank you for pointing it out. The last one, and this is the key one for this trait line and for the Aegis build, is Tenacious Defenses. You're using Tenacious Defenses. All the other ones are, again, meditations you're not going to be using. So Monk's Focus is out. And Altruistic Healing is a very selfish skill. unless you're a tag and you really need the extra 80 or 90 healing per boon that you apply. You're using Tenacious Defenses. What it does is every time Aegis you apply to anybody in the sub squad, yourself included, and it blocks, every time your Tome 3 is getting recharged by 1 second for every single block. So when you apply, every time you grant Aegis, you grant it to 4 other people, so that's 5. And when they block, if they're together, all of them block, that's 5 seconds off of your Tome 3 cooldown. Essentially, because you have a lot of sources of Aegis, you can generally you will be recharging half of your cooldown on your Tome 3 just by the Aegis that's being used. Okay, on the Firebrand side, you're picking, if you're the Aegis build, you're picking Liberator's Vow, you're picking Stalwart Speed, and the third one is going to be the same for everybody, which is Lore Master. Lore Master is, Tome skills gain reduced recharge, so that when you're using skills when you're in Tome, they take less time until you can use them again. But the reason why you're using a Liberator's Vow and Stalwart Speed is to give quickness. Like, you're going to be giving about 100% uptime on quickness. Stalwart Speed grants quickness every time you use you grant Aegis or stability, and you're going to be doing that all the time. So this one's going to be proccing off cooldown pretty much all the time. Now, Liberator's Vow allows you to bridge the gap for the other 50%, because the max duration of quickness you can give out is about 4 seconds, and Stalwart Speed has a 7-second cooldown. So best you can do is 4 out of 7 seconds with that trait alone. When you have Liberator's Vow, you have another 4 seconds that are coming when you use a heal skill. Again, you're not going to be quite at 100% by yourself, because the recharge on your heal mantra is 12 seconds. But because you start with 3 stacks, you can actually upkeep quite a long way. Now, the quickness, while nice, is important because all of the heralds with brutality trait, if they have quickness, they're stripping the enemy of stability with every hit they apply. So if you have a herald in your sub squad, this is important. If you don't, you can forego Liberator's Vow and use Archivist of Whispers for 3 extra pages in your tomes. Both are good. Now, the one variation here is when you're using Axe Shield, and generally more so when you're on the Aegis brand, you can go with Unrelating Criticism. This is how you get that daze on your Axe 2. So you can go with that for the extra CC. That is when we're well comped and we're sustaining well. You can go with that, and forego the extra quickness, because there's other sources of quickness. The scrappers will be giving some quickness as well. You don't necessarily need to have it up to 100%. So those are the generally that's what you're going to be changing in the Firebrand section. Okay, for the heal brand, you're exchanging Valor with Virtues. Where is it? Here we go. Virtues. And in Virtues, you're going to be taking Master of Consecrations. That is going to lower the duration, the recharge on your Hallowed Ground, because Hallowed Ground is a consecration, and it's going to extend it by adding 2 pulses. So it's going to be 10 seconds of pulsing instead of 8 seconds, 10 pulses, a little bit more stability, and you get it back quicker. On your second and third traits that you can choose, you're using Absolute Resolve, and you're using Battle Presence. Both of them are for extra healing. one applies the passive healing that you get from your book 2 to everybody in your sub squad, and the other one just increases the healing you're going to be doing. It's going to give you some additional endurance as well, so you will have more dodges. The other options are not really useful. The only alternative is, instead of Basil Presence, you can have Indomitable Courage, which applies stability, and it breaks stun when you're going into your Tome 3. When you're clicking your Tome 3 book, it's going to do that. Now, the reason why I say this is not a high value skill is because you're not going to be popping your book 3 just to use a stun break. So you're rarely going to be utilizing the stun break part of it, and the stability part of it is just again, sometimes you'll get use of it, but it's not guaranteed, and the extra healing is important. So those are the two variations of the builds. Any questions on that part? All right. Well, let's finish with a few specific situations so people know. I'll go over them one after another. I've talked about some of them, but just so it's condensed and it's clear, and we'll go over a few skills with them. So, first, pre-empowering. When we're stacking to pre-empower, what we're doing is advance, symbols, empowers. That is to boon up. You're applying might, you're applying quickness, you're applying aegis, and you're applying swiftness. All those three things will happen through doing that. We approach, we do our range spike, and we come back. When we're engaging, we're going to be pushing in. Then we make sure that we have aegis, and we have a small one stack of stability. So we got aegis, we got one stack of stability, we're approaching, we're engaging. Now the enemy is within 600. We're popping our stand your ground, we're moving in. If we're going into a choke, or we're gonna stand on top of them, we can go even with hollow rounds, and we move into them. After we've engaged, or when we're going to be pushing in, you're switching out of staff and you're going into Mace Shield or Axe Shield. As we're approaching, you're also popping Shield 4 or Mace 3 Shield 4, because they're going to be giving protection as well. Very important. When we're approaching for a melee fight, you need to be using, as a minimum, Shield 4 before we've engaged, because it's going to put protection and it's going to lower the amount of damage. Sometimes we take too much damage on initial engagements. Part of the problem is we're not applying protection on time. It needs to be applied before we get hit, so that it lowers the amount of damage that we're taking. When you go into Tome 3, now we're fighting. They're repushing. We're sort of kiting a little bit. Now you're going into Tome 3. You're using 5. You're using 4 if we need to be repositioning. We're moving through them, or they're bombing at our feet. And we continue the fight. You stay in Tome 3 until you used up enough of your skills. Like, you should be getting your Tome 5. If you need to bridge stability, like you use skill 5, it's on cooldown, stability got stripped or used up, use a stack of your Mantra of Liberation. If you have only one left, use a stack of your Mantra of Solace. If you put Aegis on your sub squad, they're not gonna get CC because they're gonna block. Any skill they block cannot CC. So keep in mind that Aegis is important. We're pushing into the enemy, fighting right here. Use Aegis as needed. As you can see it consumed, you see a lot of pressure being applied to the sub squad, whether that be damage, whether that be Condi. Use an extra Aegis to help alleviate a little bit of the pressure, to help your scrappers heal, cleanse, or whatnot. Don't save them. Don't die not having used up all of them. Now keep in mind that your skill 5 in Tome 3 will give Aegis. So don't just, spam all of your skills that give Aegis. Use them one at a time. Because you want to give them time to actually block. If you spam them, you're not going to get more stacks of Aegis. You're just going to extend the timer and the skill is gone. Yes, it's about that, I think. It's about that. I'll tell you. Like, I think it's about 80%. Hold on. So without anything charged, it should be about 73%. Right now, yours should be around 73%. Now, yeah, I forgot about that. So all of your armor should be minstrel at all times. Sigils, you will have on your staff, you will have sigil of concentration and sigil of bounty for your for the Aegis brand. And on your Mace shield, you will have a sigil of transference and a sigil of concentration. For the heal brand, you're exchanging the sigil of bounty for a sigil of life. And you're exchanging the sigil of concentration on your staff for a sigil of transference. And on your Mace shield, they remain the same. Last but not least. God damn it.
You use Rune of Durability, right?
Sorry?
The rune is durability, right?
Yes. Durability runes for the Aegis brand for sure. Most of the time for the heal brand too, I would say go with durability runes. However, you can go with monk runes if you want to max out healing. It's possible. The utilities, you're going with magnanimous maintenance oil for the Aegis brand. You're looking to max out concentration. And I don't remember the other one for the heal brand. What was it? It's the one where which converts into outgoing healing. I can't remember the name of it right now. It's again it's a maintenance oil. It's straightforward. Yes, bountiful. There we go. Bountiful maintenance oil. All right. That is pretty much it. Any questions? Any situations that are unclear that you don't know what to do in? Hypothetical situations. Ask away. All right. So, last thing about positioning and how to take care of your sub squad. This is a little bit. Once you get used to it, once you get a little bit sort of acclimatized to Firebrand. Okay. So again, we talked about it. Tag. This is where I am in relation to that marker. This is where the backline should be. This is the back line, no further than that in the squad. So you're staying over here. You're staying a little bit past the halfway point between the tag and the back line. This way, all of your mantras gonna affect everybody in the sub squad. On pushes through. We're pushing through here. Let's say we dodge through them. We're turning around. That's when you're using your mantra, so that you can support the back. If you need to use an elite mantra to stun break people out. Very important. When you're stun breaking people, when you see somebody in your sub squad that it's getting emoted, they're generally gonna be where the biggest clump of our players are. So if you're at the front of the squad, you need to do a quick turn, pop it, turn around, and keep going. Now, first thing first though, until you feel comfortable doing that, stay with the tag and the DPS players. It's on them to stay close to you. Once you get comfortable, you can start doing that, helping them out. When they get in trouble, try to help them out. Again, you're using skills when your DPS players need them, not for yourselves. Most of the time. If you're in danger to be killed, then obviously you're using skills to save your booty. But you're using them for them most of the time. That is pretty much it. It's not that complicated. There isn't a straightforward rotation. There is combinations of skills that you use in certain situations, and that's pretty much it. It's not that hard. It just takes a little bit of time to adjust. You're very tanky, so you will be able to survive a lot. Keep in mind that your DPS players are not as tanky as you, and they go down easy. Any questions? All right. Well, we'll call it here then. Thanks for coming out. I hope this was useful. I tried to go over absolutely everything there is. I might have missed something. So if anybody needs help, anything is unclear, anything's not happening, you can always post in the Guardian section, FB section on the Discord, and I'll take some time and we'll go over things one-on-one or in a smaller group or whatnot. Yes, I think I got the 2.5 hours in 1.5 hours this time. No, less than 1.5, because we started about 20-ish. So 1 hour and 15 minutes. All right. Thank you guys. Go grab some food. Take a little bit of a relax. The EOTM fights will start in about 25 minutes, I believe. And there's probably going to be a ping. So I'll see you then. Have a good one, and thanks for coming out.
Thanks, Switch.